Hi everyone, Pamela here. I'm going to be doing Herb of the Month in video format this time, and it might become a regular thing. We'll see. This month's herb is citrus peel, and there are several different varieties of citrus peel that we can choose from and use according to what our bodies are telling us we need, and if we tune in, then we can make changes and really help turn things around, right? That's what herbs help us do, bring awareness to different aspects of our body and lives and help initiate change from that turning point. I will start with the first herb, which is from a mandarin orange or tangerine peel, satsuma orange, etc. It's basically any orange peel where when you peel the orange, you get that like little net-like structure that's attached to the fruit segment. And in this case, I think these are like little organic mandarin oranges that I got at the store. You peel them, wash them, peel them, dry them, and then you set them aside in a cool, dry environment, and then put them in an airtight tin, and then in a year, this is what they look like. In 3 or more years, this is a bag that I've had around that's from Purchased. This is the color that they look like. They become very dark, and the longer they sit, the darker they will become. It doesn't mean that they're bad, though. They're still excellent herbs, and in fact, aged tangerine peel, also known as Chen Pea, only improves with age. So if you have like really, really old tangerine peels and they look almost black, they're so old, very valuable medicine, and really, really, really lovely. Chen Pea is an herb that is directed at the lungs and the digestive system. And the digestive system in Chinese medicine is the spleen and stomach. So if I say spleen and stomach, or spleen and or stomach, I'm talking about the digestive system. And the spleen needs an environment that is warm and a little dry, because the spleen kind of helps separate the nutrients from the non-nutritive substances in the body. So it's like the process by which food is broken down into usable parts. And the stomach is our aspect that is like cooking. And that's like it's like a soup pot, so that's like also like warm, but it needs like just the right temperature. It can't be too hot, can't be too cool, can't be too dry, can't be too wet. So the stomach and spleen are really, really interesting because they sort of need the same thing, but they need different things all at the same time. So Chen Pea is an herb that helps harmonize the digestive system. And it's also an herb that helps to alleviate really profuse coughing, and profuse coughing in the sense that like if you're coughing and there's like phlegm coming out, if you're blowing in your nose and there's a lot of phlegm coming out. A year and a half ago, so December 2019, I was really sick with like this awful cold flu. I don't know what the heck it was. I went through a box of tissues a day plus. It was just like disgusting. Chen Pea, I don't know why I wasn't taking Chen Pea, but when you're sick, you don't really think clearly, right? So that's why you call someone like me for help. And so if you have a lot of that stuff that like needs to be dried and thinned, something that maybe your doctor would tell you should take Mucinex for, Chen Pea is an option. So when you take Chen Pea, you also need to drink a lot of water so that it helps thin the phlegm and mucus in the body. Chen Pea is also really great when you are putting an herbal formula together, or foods for that matter, that can be a little on the heavy side, or cloying. Like cloying being like, it's so sweet, it just kind of like, ugh, makes you feel like, I guess if you ate like way too much ice cream, how you can kind of feel that, ugh. Chen Pea is really great for helping to cut through that cloying sweetness, that heaviness that you feel when you're building up a lot. Like I know some people start to have digestive stuff when they start taking like collagen or gelatin and drinking a lot of rich bone broths, and their body's not used to it. Chenpi is a great herb that you can have with that to help your body assimilate the deeply nutritive substances. So like this is not an herb that says like I can take this herb and eat all the ice cream I want. That's not really what I'm talking about. It's more helping the body to like assimilate and break down the food that you're giving it, or the substances that you're giving it. Next up is the unripe peel from the tangerine, mandarin orange family, and that is called Qingpi. Qingpi is more for the liver, and this is what it looks like when you buy it. It's all sliced up in like 1/8 inch or so slices. Sometimes you get bigger pieces here and there. And Qingpi helps alleviate liver qi stagnation. And liver qi stagnation is when you're sighing, like to move energy, and you just can't move the energy, or you're easily frustrated. It's like you see something and you're just like, oh, like it feels like nothing's going your way. That's liver qi stagnation. Or you feel like you just can't get moving on something that you want to be moving on, and there's something always blocking you. That's liver qi stagnation. So if you take an herb like Qingpi combined with other herbs, FYI, these herbs are not to be used as what are called simples or one herb only. They should be used in combination with other herbs or in food. So Qingpi, when you take it, it helps release the stuck liver qi. It helps break up the stuck liver qi, sort of in the way that coffee breaks up stuck liver qi, which is why when you drink coffee, you feel really like you can go and you have a lot of energy to accomplish things. It's not just the caffeine in coffee that does that. It's the action of the herb, the coffee herb itself, that helps break up, and it's called dredging the liver qi. So like strongly releases everything that's stuck. Qingpi releases what's stuck, but it's in a much gentler fashion. Qingpi also, the green peel that is, also reduces stagnation that's in your digestive system. All these herbs are centered in the digestive system and then either go up or down. So Qingpi also reduces stagnation in the digestive system. Like if you have like, when you have like a bit of a abdominal distension, and food stagnation, which is when you eat something and it feels like it's still sitting in your stomach hours later. I cannot be the only one that has experienced food stagnation. And it really helps alleviate that and helps get everything moving downward so that it goes into your intestines so you can finish the assimilation and elimination process. Next up is bitter orange. The Latin for bitter orange is Citrus aurantium, I believe. It is, but my bag fell on the floor and now there's bitter orange peel all over the floor, so just give me a second. Okay, it's not that bad. So it is Citrus aurantium. I have a bag from Mountain Rose Herbs that's organic, and it's been cut up. This is an older bag. I don't know how long I've had it for. Since 2015, for 6 years. Still smells good, still works. That's the beauty of citrus peel. You can keep it for virtually ever and you can still use it. It can also come in form from the Chinese shops that look like this. Okay, these are these are the immature ones. So these are the little baby ones. And I gander that the bitter orange from Mountain Rose is from a fully ripened bitter orange, or Seville orange, or marmalade orange. And then this is also a fully ripened, mature fruit that's been sliced I don't know if you can see the detail in that. Next time when I get better light, you'll be able to see these little details. So there's the layer of the peel, the flavedo and the albedo. The flavedo is the zest and the albedo is the white. And then there's the fruit in the middle. So it's been kind of squashed and then dried. The immature fruit, these little round guys, are more strong than the fully ripened peel and fruit. And both of them, in particular the little guys, are for when there's a feeling of fullness and bloating and heaviness around the center of, around your belly button, around your umbilicus and in your abdomen. It's also helpful for alleviating distension in your stomach, chest, and abdominal region. And it's great for transforming the phlegm. Phlegm can be visible in the form of mucus or invisible, which is the stuff that you can't see, hence invisible, that is built up from either food or emotions can cause phlegm. Like long-standing emotional stuff can create phlegm issues. So the immature bitter orange helps break up all the stuff that's just kind of like stuck and just not able to move no matter what you do, and you're all swollen and distended and it's uncomfortable. This is the herb for that. The mature fruit, so the peel that you would get from Mountain Rose herb or the little flattened slices that I showed you, are the same actions as the immature, but more gentle. And they're more for the upper part. So it would be, it's not, I'm not really sure how to explain this. It's described as being able to lift prolapse. So if, I think that's a topic for another time. If you hang in with me over time, you'll learn more about this stuff. And if you want private discussion about things, we can set something up. But I do like Aurantium a lot, and I've been using it more and more with clients recently with great results, especially given the fact that we're just not, like, the citrus is just so good when you're not able to move. And I really like Aurantium for when things just feel very claggy, like you've just can't seem to move whatever it is that's stuck, even with the traditional liver qi moving herbs. That's when you go to phlegm. And the Aurantium citrus is really, really great for that. Next up, we have I say about all these things, it's my favorite herb. It's Buddha's hand, or faux shu in pinyin. And I have a really nice looking piece here. You can see how it's all curled up and just gorgeous, right? This is a really big piece. I would not use a whole piece like this in a pot of tea. I would use a piece that is more like this size. So pretty tiny. And I have small hands. I have like a women's size small glove. So, it's quite small. Buddha's hand is great also for moving liver qi. It, if there's a feeling of like flank, it's called distension. So distension would be like the tightness of like a drum. Like if it feels tight or swollen, but not squishy swollen, just like very tight, like drum tight. And maybe fullness in the abdomen and a lack of appetite as a result or alongside. This is a great citrus peel to use. This herb, like Chen Pi, regulates the digestive system, so the spleen and the stomach. And this herb helps alleviate the stifling sensation of coughing and the accompanying mucus. So it helps, like when you're coughing and you just feel like, oh, this tightness in your chest and like you can't breathe because you've been coughing. This herb is great for just relaxing this area. So it doesn't forcefully open the area, it just relaxes the area. Just like down here in the side flanks, it relaxes it. I'll sometimes get it over here on my liver and I'll say, oh, my liver hurts. And as soon as I put some fo shu in my tea, miraculously, this side is less troublesome. I usually don't dry my own peel for Buddha's hand every single time I buy a Buddha's hand fresh from the store. It's extremely expensive, and I'll cut it up to dry it or set it aside to dry it, and then the next day it's gone bad. So I just buy it already dried. Yeah, Camwo Herbs in Chinatown here in New York City has very nice quality fo shu. I've been very happy with it, so I've been buying it from them for the past few years. I have a recipe on my recipe page of green tea, Buddha's hand, ginger, and cherries as a replacement for coffee. And when I quit coffee, it was the only thing that really helped me feel that that awakeness that you feel after you have coffee in the morning. Because I was a daily coffee drinker for so many years, and I had to quit it because of migraines and everything. And this was the combination that helped. So that's the recipe I would turn to if you're looking for a proper recipe to try this herb. I would have it in combination take it in combination in that way. And just kind of play with it a little bit and see, instead of having your afternoon cup of coffee, make this tea and see how you feel. Next up is pomelo, and I'm also lumping grapefruit peel into this, even though I know technically they are not the same. I've found that they do act quite similarly, or similarly enough that I can put them together. And also because the albedo, the white part of the peel, they're both quite thick between grapefruit peel and pomelo. And the layer of flavedo or zest is quite thin for both of them. I try with the grapefruit when I'm getting them, I try to stick with getting the greener or white grapefruit. The red grapefruit has slightly different properties. I feel it's a bit more warming and like heart-centered than the traditional pomelo. So the traditional pomelo is it's warming like most of these other peels. It dries dampness, just like and works with transforming phlegm, mucus, etc., just like the other peels. It reduces food stagnation, like I said, that feeling like when you eat something, it feels like it's still sitting in your stomach years later, or I sometimes would call it like a rubber ball feeling in my stomach, or just that, oh my gosh, I ate too much and I need to take Tums. This herb is much like the other peels, is very helpful for that. The great thing about pomelo is that it expands the chest. So it regulates the chi, or the energy in your chest, so that when you're having the cough with the profuse sputum and the accumulation, so it's just like coming and coming and coming and coming, and it just doesn't stop, and you're cold, feeling like you can't get warmed up enough, and your sputum is like white or clear. So this is not for yellow tinged sputum. None of these herbs are for yellow tinged sputum. So just so that you know, these are all for what's called cold phlegm, and it just really helps so you can actually breathe. So it's different. There's a subtle difference between the tightness of the chest, as in from like the fo shu, like where there's a constriction. This is more like there's a heaviness in the chest that needs to so there's an expansion that needs to happen. And it's so hard with things like this to try to explain what these feel like unless you felt them yourselves. So just try to think back to the different times you've been sick and what's worked and what hasn't, and see if you can make any connections for yourself so that you can like embody these descriptions and then you can embody the herbs. I always save my pomelo and grapefruit peels. I like make a whole like ritual every year of like going and buying a bunch of organic stuff and then drying it. So I have a peel from last year, the year before. I think this is grapefruit. And the white part has gotten thinner and thinner over the over time, which I think is pretty cool. Let's see. Oh, I have a piece that there's still some fruit on it. I usually try to get the fruit off of it. Don't leave the fruit on there when you cut it off. It just it changes the energetics a little bit. And once it's dried, it's like impossible to get this fruit off. So make sure that you get this fruit cut off. Don't be lazy like me. And then I have a big piece as well. Nice big hunk. And yeah, so I have them in all different sizes for different needs and purposes. And I will only use a little bit of this when if I'm sick with a cold or whatever bug and the phlegm just keeps coming and it's white or clear. Once it shifts over to yellow, you need different herbs. But the beautiful thing about the citrus peels, as I said, is they really only improve with age. So long as you store them properly, airtight container, somewhere cool and dry, you'll have them forever. I will put a little bit of chenpi in with my stocks. I make chicken or beef, mostly chicken stock, typically once a week, sometimes more frequently, sometimes less frequently, depending on how much I have around. And I always put a piece of orange peel in it, just a piece about, I have like the 12-quart Instapot. It's not the giant one, it's the next size down from the biggest one. And I'm looking for a size piece that I would put in. So I would put this much in. Just two smallish pieces, a smaller piece and a medium piece. In while everything is, after I've done my pressure cook, and when I put everything over to slow cook so it can really infuse, with a couple of slices of ginger. And what it does is it just allows the broth to be digested so much more easily than without it. I always put a piece of chenpi in, usually this size. When I make my kabocha squash soup, sometimes I'll put 2 in. It depends on how I'm feeling. If I've been clearing my throat a lot because there's like a tickle in the back of my throat, like postnasal drip, then I'll put 2 pieces in. And then I puree it all together with my kabocha squash and the broth and a little bit of ginger that I've cooked in with the soup too. I tend to cook with herbs more than take them as like a separate thing now. And when I do take my herbs now, I make them as a decoction or tong or herbal soup. They work so much better than the powders and the capsules and the tablets. And believe me, I have tons of powders and capsules and tablets that are just basically sitting on my shelves behind me, just wasting away, because I just feel that the herbs just work so much better when you start this way with the herb as from nature, basically. Some things to consider when you're taking or using citrus peel: make sure you drink enough water. If you're someone who wakes up at the middle of night hot and sweaty, or if you tend towards dry mouth, if you tend to be someone who runs hot in general, or if you're sick and you have yellow phlegm of any kind or dryness and nothing's coming out, I would avoid taking citrus peel. There are plenty of other herbal and over-the-counter options if you are someone who has things that are just not moving at all. If you're on any medications, you should always confer with a qualified practitioner, someone who knows herbs, to make sure that what you are taking is not going to be interacting with the herbs. And then you should also be speaking with your doctor. So there should be communication all over the place about it. You also need to be aware of what you're eating when you take these herbs. I know. I feel like you guys are all going to be sick of me talking about be careful what you eat. But Be careful what you eat. Avoid the dairy if you're sick. Avoid eating anything raw, like fruit juice or salads or smoothies, especially if you have a lot of phlegm that's clear and white. All that stuff is cold. All that stuff makes your digestive system work harder. And the root of phlegm and dampness in the body is in your digestive system, because the spleen's climate, that is like the climate that like it likes the least, is dampness. So if you're giving it damp stuff and it's already struggling to transform all the gunk that your body is producing to combat the pathogen, the spleen is just going to not be able to keep up, and it's just going to keep producing more phlegm and dampness. So we want to help your body get rid of the pathogen as quickly as possible. So we don't want to be feeding it dairy, cheese. Macaroni and cheese is like the worst thing that you could possibly be eating when you're sick with a cold. You want to avoid the pizza, anything that's like just sticky. If it's sticky or gooey and you're sick, please avoid it. Things that to eat when you're sick are like broths, soups. I like roasted meats, steamed vegetables. I'll sometimes have like something in beans would be acceptable, like that are well spiced. You just want to avoid anything, like I said, creamy and that kind of stuff. You want to avoid the chocolate, and that's, especially if you have issues of phlegm and dampness. Though, I have a whole paper on it if you want to, purchase a copy and read about it. I really fought my practitioner 5 years ago when they told me I could no longer have any dairy and no more gluten. And I was and I didn't have any kind of flour either, like even the gluten-free flours, for many, 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 many months, to try to clear out all the phlegm and dampness in my body. And believe me, I was eating just fine without all of that. And I wasn't doing salads. And it was like, all of a sudden, it was like I could think clearly again. My eyes looked clearer in the mirror. And it was just such an interesting experience to go through that, because I really love cheese and I love baking. I mean, gosh, I used to make macarons at a French restaurant, for crying out loud. Like, I love that stuff. I didn't want to have to give it up, and then it was the thing that I had to give up in order to get healthier, and I've just realized that it's better for me to stay away from it. So it's worth experimenting with and making the commitment to say, if I need these herbs to get rid of this phlegm, then I should honor what my body is asking of me by not giving it more of what's making things worse. And let's support ourselves and be aware of that, and just like help ourselves out a little bit, All right, now I've been talking for half an hour. It would have taken you less time to read the monograph. And if you stuck around all this time, really, really appreciate it. And if you want more of these, let me know. If you want something different with them, let me know. Next time I will theoretically have better lighting and won't be dropping things, although that probably won't be happening. I'm a little klutzy. And thank you for, watching. Have a good day. Bye.